Well, that process is moving. I think there's still a lot of conversation going on. We were blessed with a visit from the president today to our Republican conference meeting, and he talked about a number of things and the importance of getting this bill passed. And there's a lot of great things in this bill. I'm very excited about the things that we've been able to see in this bill, but there are also some things that quite frankly can continue to be improved upon. And there's still some conversations happening even at this late hour. I think there could very well be a manager's amendment that could be part of it when it's all said and done. But there are still moving pieces, and I'm hopeful and believing that we're going to get this thing done at some point for sure.
So I want to follow up on that then, Congressman. So Sunday night, we saw this very late night voting session, but it still passed through this House Budget Committee. That's a great first step. So looking forward then, because Mike Johnson wants to get this passed by Thursday, before Memorial Day, do you see any other major hurdles out there that could give him a little bit of trouble?
I think I haven't obviously done the whip count. I don't know exactly where all the votes are. I do know that there are a number of members that are still having some concerns, and they're on all sides of the issue. I mean, you've got some folks that seem to still be concerned with SALT and what's going to happen as far as that deduction goes and where the cap will land. Yes. Then you've got folks in the camp that I'm in that are concerned about Medicaid and whether or not we are actually going far enough to really reform Medicaid to the point that it's going to be sustainable. If we don't make some adjustments there, then there is a fear that it's not going to be sustainable much longer. It's going to reach to where it's going to cost $1 trillion to be able to fund it. And so being able to make some adjustments. In fact, there was a poll that was released just early this morning by Club for Growth. It was a McLaughlin poll that was fascinating. It targeted, I think, the 35 districts where we have Republicans that have been targeted by the Democrats to defeat them. But when folks were asked in that poll if you felt like that you would support Medicaid reform to where the states would actually start putting in more of a share to where the state would pay $3 out of every 10 instead of currently where they're paying 1 out of every 10, 57% of the people in that poll said that they actually would support that kind of reform, and only 21% said they were opposed, and then obviously the difference didn't have an opinion. So I think that there is a lot of support out there that with this one big beautiful bill, we have an opportunity to do some things that are transformational. And please understand, there's already a lot of things in this bill that is transformational, but again, we all want it to be the best bill it can possibly be when we send it out of the House over to the Senate, and we're going to continue to just keep working and working, getting as far as we can get, and then we'll have the opportunity to vote on it.
Very interesting. And sir, I think the most transformational part of this, to follow up on your point, is the tax cuts. Extending those, trying to make those permanent. The American people deserve to keep the money that they work so hard for. So that's the biggest thing to me personally and to people I know. So I really hope that gets through. But I do want to follow up as well on something that you said about some ways that we can make things better, because one valid concern that I see amidst this discussion right now is looking at the national debt, which just grows bigger and bigger every single day. Frankly, it's a ticking time bomb. We're going to have to get serious about reining in the debt at some point, and I'm just wondering at what point that will be. So final thoughts for you, Congressman. What are you thinking about reining in the debt?
Well, that's exactly why we're doing what we're doing and continuing these conversations about Medicaid, because if we don't rein in this debt, you're exactly right. It is a ticking time bomb, and some Congress one of these days is going to be holding it when it explodes. Yes. And that's something that nobody wants to be the one holding that. And so we can't keep kicking the can down the road. There are a lot of great things in this bill that are helping us begin to bend the curve. But to be honest, we want to make sure that we are making the adjustments. One of the things I loved about the House's framework when we first started this process was that we wanted to see those tax cuts continue to be extended, if not made permanent. And now in this bill, we're going to make them permanent, which I think is great. We wanted to include like no tax on tips, a $4,000 deduction for seniors that are going to help them with cutting their taxes on Social Security, no tax on overtime. Those are all important things. We're actually increasing the child tax credit in this from $2,000 to $2,500. So those are all great things that we need to do, but we've always got to remember that we've got to look at both sides of the ledger. And for when we're making those cuts, we've got to be willing to make savings cuts as well in our spending, because as I've often said, we don't have a revenue problem in this government. We have a spending problem, and that's what we've got to begin to take care of. And honestly, when they sent us to Washington in November of 24, they sent us here to do government differently, and we've got to bend that curve. And that's what I'm looking at, quite frankly. And my final decision on this bill is it going to reduce deficits, or at a minimum be deficit neutral? I wasn't sent here to add to the problem. We were sent here to correct the problem and change course.
Music to my ears, truly. What we have with the status quo isn't working for the overwhelming majority of Americans, and the people who are deriving value from it are trying to stonewall this Congress and the Trump administration. But I have full faith in you guys, I do, and I just want to say thank you for giving us some of your time today, because you're very busy. There's a whole lot going on. You guys are trying to save a country. So thank you for making some time for us today, because I really appreciate it.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to be with you, and appreciate what you do.